Watch a horror movie, read through ancient legends, or scroll through social media, and you'll see a very specific image of the devil. He is portrayed as an invincible, chaotic force, creeping across the globe and controlling human destiny. This creates a widespread, paralyzing fear. Many people go through life believing that spiritual warfare is an even match, a stalemate between two equal rival gods who are locked in a cosmic struggle. But the enemy's greatest victory has nothing to do with actual power. His greatest achievement is the exaggerated belief we hold about his power. The terror we experience is the byproduct of a psychological illusion, sustained by our own assumptions about an authority that does not exist. To dismantle this illusion, we have to establish a basic theological baseline. The enemy is not a creator, he is a created being, completely subordinate to the eternal sovereignty of God. Take the biblical account of Job. The enemy cannot simply act on his own timeline or desires. Before doing anything, he is required to stand before God and ask for explicit authorization. When you read the historical text, that requirement of permission stands out. It proves he operates within strict, immovable boundaries. Because he exists strictly within this divine chain of command, it is impossible for him to independently destroy a believer. Lacking absolute authority, he relies on a different tactic. Since the Garden of Eden, his weapon of choice hasn't been brute force. It is the lie. This diagram maps how fear works. A lie is planted, imagination expands the darkness, and resulting fear crowds out faith. The cycle runs on tipping the scales with two lies, overestimating the devil's power while underestimating God's power. Over centuries, history and folklore have been manipulated to reinforce these lies, keeping human understanding completely distracted from the truth. The Bible describes him as a roaring lion, but think about the function of a roar. It is a tool of intimidation meant to freeze the listener in place before any physical contact occurs. This psychological freezing works because the enemy exploits the internal capacity for imagination, turning a simple suggestion into a self-imposed prison. Contrast our human doubt with the certainty of the spiritual realm. In the Gospels, demons never negotiate with Jesus. They instantly recognize his authority and they submit. At the crucifixion, the religious leaders and the powers of darkness believed they had finally achieved ultimate victory. This moment of apparent surrender served as a tactical snare, pulling the powers of darkness into a definitive defeat. 3 days later, the tomb was empty. The penalty for sin was paid in full, and death itself was permanently defeated. The resurrection stripped away the mask of the enemy's authority, exposing it as a conditional and temporary state. For the modern believer, this defines a new reality. The enemy remains dangerous, but he is fighting a war where the final outcome has already been decided. The danger now lies in where we put our focus. If you constantly fixate on nightmares, trials, and darkness, that illusion will eventually consume your entire horizon. But by fixing your gaze upon Jesus Christ, you allow divine light to immediately dissipate the deepest darkness. You are actively protected by the strength of the Spirit, the guidance of the Word, and the peace found in prayer. The true crux of spiritual warfare is not questioning whether the enemy exists. It is choosing where we place our ultimate trust. You can actively replace the fear in your heart with confidence. Your security depends solely on the supremacy of Christ. If this message helps shift your perspective, please subscribe to the channel and share this video with your family and friends to spread truth instead of fear. In our next episode, we are going to answer a question many people are asking. Can you be spiritually attacked without knowing it? We will dive deeper into the invisible war and the divine protection God offers to those who trust Him.